maybe one of the indications that this isn't the most traditional wedding ever, but because yes, I'm Tom's best man, actually. And to have been asked by Tom to be his best man is a great honor to me, if only because Tom has now finally admitted publicly and conclusively that I am in fact the best. And, thank you very much, Tom. I needed that. I do need people to tell me that. And so Tom and I, we know each other from university. We met about 6 years ago because we did the same course in Oxford, and we became friends, I think very quickly actually. And what we would do, and what I always really liked about Tom, is the fact that anything you talk about can become a deep and meaningful discussion. So often we'd sit together at dinner and we'd debate something, and just off the top of my head, some of the stuff we have talked about in depth was, is the Bible sexist? How much income should go to the state of a person? Is Christianity a party thrown in your jail cell, or an invitation to a party with a get-out-of-jail-free card? What's the correct pronunciation of the word pronunciation? And does Kanye West think it's okay to cheat on your girlfriend based on a deep analysis of his rap in the song No Church in the Wild? And Tom would give each of these topics the same amount of regard and attention. He would be patient and would listen when I, rambled on at length about some of these topics, more than others, and then often come back and argue his point very convincingly because he had an opinion on every single one of these conversations. And it was very clear to me that when we talked about relationships and love, that he took his relationship with Aicha almost as seriously as he did Kanye West. Maybe even a bit more. And that he was always very committed to her, from the get-go. Yes, that's very admirable. And one of the other things I very much like about Tom, and that I admire about Tom, is that he, as other people have mentioned before, he's very clear on his principles, and he really tries to act on them, and much more than, your average 24-year-old, and much more than I do in any event. He's very vocal and active, as you all know, in combating climate change. He's very interested in inequality in the UK, and everyone who's been to a restaurant with Tom will know that his favorite question ever is, "Excuse me, but is this vegan?" And I think, mostly he provokes thought, and clearly when you come away from a conversation with Tom, you see that he's very intelligent and that he has a very solid moral compass. And from what I can see, it's something that you and Aicha both have in common, which I think is amazing. But I just want to quickly, Aicha, maybe to make you feel better, talk about one time where Tom left a very different impression. And this is back in 2011. We did a course together in public international law. And every week we'd have tutorials together with our professors, just like Tom and us and me and another person. We would talk about public international law in depth and discuss our essays. And it was a normal Oxford course. And then about a year ago, after we both graduated, I coincidentally ran into the professor who ran that class at an event, and I went up to him and I was like, "Hi, I'm Anna, do you remember me?" And he was like, "Oh yes, you did," and we chatted a bit about our tutorials. And suddenly he was like, out of the blue, he's like, "Your tutorial partner, what was his name?" And I was like, "Yeah, Tom Waters." And then he was like, "Was he stoned in tutorials?" And I was like, "No, he wasn't. He wasn't just tired." And I really laughed. It was really funny to me. But Tom, that's very clearly the exception to the rule. And I think you are exceptional in the way you approach life, and you stick to your ethics and to your principles. And I think if you approach your marriage with even half as much commitment as you do anything else, I'm not in the slightest bit worried about yours and Aicha's futures. I think in each other you've found someone truly special. And I believe that your marriage will be very strong and very loving, and something to celebrate, which is why we're all here today. And I also just want to say to you, Aicha, that we don't know each other that well, and I think it's really a shame, because in the end, you and Tom, you're marrying each other, and I think Tom is amazing and lovely. So by extension, you also have to be amazing and lovely, and otherwise you wouldn't be making the commitment to stay together. So, Yeah.
So we have to be friends.
Exactly. So if you ever come to London and you want to hang out, feel free to get in touch, and hang out with me. That's what I meant. And I just want to end the speech with something a little special that I prepared. And the reason for this is like twofold. The first is that I'm German, and in Germany, at wedding receptions, there tends to be a lot of like quizzes and singing and theatre. So I thought I'd integrate a bit of that. And also, I once wrote a song for Tom, or I adapted a song. I wouldn't say I wrote all of it. And it was about Tom being vegan. And I've now rewritten this song. And please excuse, I get really nervous when I play instruments because it's hard to do in public. But I've prepared a little song, and I'm just going to sing it or perform it. And there you go. I'm going to sit actually because I need to prop up my leg, yeah? All right. Sorry for all the mistakes, but here we go. Once upon a time back then, when Tom was just a single man, his life was more boring by far. He didn't know I'd chance. He was Tom, a single man. Tom and I joined a holy matrimony. Tom and I joined the holy matrimony. Sorry. But then there was a turn in his life, and Tom, he met his future wife. And in the woods one day, he became a fiancé. He was Tom, engaged man Tom. Tom and I joined in holy matrimony. Tom and I joined in holy matrimony. Okay, his last verse. Which brings us to the special day. Their marriage we celebrate. And this life can be very complex. I wish you lots of great times. Tom and I joined matrimony. Please kill me. Tom and I joined matrimony.
Okay, that's the end of the speeches.
Everybody's like,
yeah. I think we're now, you can just relax a bit. We're going to put the music on. I think we've got to move a couple of the tables. You will be allowed to dance. As the vicars can tell you, not everything that is permitted is beneficial. So do it at your own risk. Frown upon it. If you don't particularly want to dance, that's absolutely fine. We have some board games behind the curtain, which we will unveil. We have a lot of sweets, so enjoy those.
and there's a pub over the road.
We also, yeah. there's a local village pub, so go and support it if we're being dull. Probably will be. There's also a sheet of paper on a board back there, and we'd like you all to play a game called How Punderful, and we'd like you all to write on the best. Yes, I'm coming to the cake. Stop heckling me. The best wedding, Aicha, Tom, etc. related puns that you can think of. We may read some of them out later.
If there are any.
If there are any good ones. I think this table has some strong pun writers on it, so I've heard. There may even be a prize for the best one, so serious effort. If you're debating whether to dance or to write puns, definitely puns. No prizes for dancing. There's also a wonderful cake, again made by my wonderful mum. So everybody again just register and embarrass her about how hard-working she's been. And Dad did mention that unfortunately my nan is unable to be here because she's ill and in hospital. And we are thinking about her. But she has given us to go in front of the cake as apparently a Welsh good luck charm, an amazing traditional Welsh love spoon. So all make sure that you definitely check that out and enjoy the rest of the evening.
Thank you.
Let's put it on. So I'll go put some music on.